Welcome on in. Sports Radio 94 WIP. It is the Midday Show. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Kyle Quinn behind the glass. You guys with us. 215-592-9494 on a Monday as the All-Star break arrives with the Phillies owning the best record in the sport. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Philadelphia. Hey, listen, I hate to break it to y'all, but the truth is Taco Bell is not the win that it once was. That's my I didn't even know my app was on.
Roaring start.
Phone. Yeah.
We're rolling. I'm back.
Yeah.
And we're wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, Taco Bell is not the win that it once was, man.
No?
It's not. It's not. I went to Taco Bell yesterday. Don't ask me why. I was with my son, and you know how when you're with kids and it's hard to find something to eat, you got to do what you got to do. So I ended up at Taco Bell, and, I was feeling nostalgic. So I went and got the 12-pack of tacos, which back in the day, they were like 69 cents a taco, whatever. Man, I paid $12 I paid $25 for 12 tacos. Was not happy about that, Joe.
Did you eat them all, though?
Yes, I did. Because I was going to get my money's worth. I was going
to say, that question could not go unanswered if you ended up still eating them.
No, I had to eat them. But it is not the win. Like, I remember, we all remember in college, you had a couple dollars in your pocket. Mm-hmm. Like, Taco Bell was the go-to.
It was. You get a lot for a little bit
you
of
got
money.
For a little bit. Taco Bell inflation, man. I mean, they were tasty. They were tasty. But it was just like, man, $25. It's a lot.
That is a lot. All right, listen, we got a lot to talk about today. The All-Star break is here. People seem to sometimes say this is the longest week of the year. We don't get any real sports. We got the Home Run Derby night with Alec Boehm. We had All-Star game tomorrow. I like this year this week each year. It lets us talk about a whole bunch of different things. And I haven't been here for a week, so I got a lot of things on my mind. And Hugh,
how was vacation?
Vacation was great. We went to Bethany Beach in Delaware, so hung out on the beach all week.
How do your pockets feel?
Lighter. Not quite Taco Bell lighter, but lighter. No, we had a good time. It was fun.
Always a good time, man.
It was fun to hang out with my family and spend some quality time for a week. And Hugh, I got a lot of things on my mind here as we're back. And we'll get to a lot of Phillies today because it was a weird weekend, but obviously they have had a great first half and so many things to look forward to in the second half. But Hugh, I was following this last week. I was trying, kind of be, kind of not locked in here, trying to get away. But I noticed whenever I would check in or look at ESPN or whatever, they were doing their rankings, right? Top 10 at each position. So I'm like, all right, wait a second. We're doing offensive tackles over the weekend, defense tackles. That's fun. But where's the real
the meat and potatoes of this thing?
And I looked, and it said Monday, July 15th. That's when the real meat and potatoes would be out there, because today is that executives, coaches, scouts rank the NFL's top 10 quarterbacks for 2024. And my first thought is, all right, last year Jalen Hurts was ranked number 6. He was the top 6 quarterback in the NFL last year. Did he fall? How far did he fall? And what happened with Jalen Hurts? Well, Hugh Douglas, I went on this morning early, and I got ourselves a list. So here it is. ESPN, their rankings. And again, this is scouts, coaches, executives, this is people inside the NFL. Here's how they view the Eagles franchise quarterback. I'm going to give you the list, and then we'll react. Number 1, this one's easy, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Joe Burrow. Number 3, Josh Allen. Number 4, Lamar Jackson. Number 5, Matthew Stafford. Number 6, Justin Herbert. Number 7, C.J. Stroud. Number 8, Aaron Rodgers. Number 9, Jared Goff. Number 10, Dakota Prescott. That means Jalen Hurts not ranked as one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the NFL. He is in the honorable mention section, all right? So the honorable mentions, and again, this is in order, so we could count if you want. Brock Purdy was the first honorable mention, making him number 11. Jordan Love, the second honorable mention, making him number 12. And coming in as the third honorable mention, number 13, Jalen Hurts. Hugh Douglas, your reaction to the ESPN ranking of the top 10 quarterbacks where Jalen is not one of them?
This list to me is already questionable because you got Aaron Rodgers at number 8. Didn't Aaron Rodgers just leave his team hanging because he went to go get high in another country?
I think he was in Egypt, yeah.
Yeah, so he went somewhere to get high in another country. Matthew Stafford, a little bit older. I don't mind C.J. Stroud. Dakota, as much as I hate to admit it, I mean, he balled out last year. He's a Cowboy. He balled out, but he falls short in the playoffs. Joe Burrow was hurt. So those 3 names right there alone have me, well, 2. They have me questioning this list a little bit. I don't have a problem with Jared Goff being at number 9. C.J. Stroud, He about where he should be. Justin Herbert, though, seriously, Justin Herbert. What did he do? Like, what did he do last year?
Nothing, and got hurt.
See, now that's questionable. Matthew Stafford, again, like I said, Lamar Jackson don't have a problem with that. Josh Allen. So I question this list. And, with those 3 omissions right there, to me, that puts Jalen Hurts somewhere on this list. So, yeah, I have questions about this list.
So you'd put him as top 10 guy?
I'll put him as a top 10.
Yeah. So right now I wouldn't. I think the list is fair. Now, I'd move some guys off. I'm with you on the Rodgers thing. The Rodgers played 4 snaps last year, and this last year in Green Bay, he wasn't even that good anyway. So I'm off for Rodgers. Enough of this. I mean, you're right. He's halfway in, halfway out. He's in his 40s. I'm with you on that. But I don't have a problem with Jalen Hurts not ranked as a top 10 quarterback. He didn't play like one last year. He didn't. He didn't. He struggled. Down the stretch, he really struggled. And I understand some guys have less track record. But Jordan Love looked better at the end of last year than Jalen Hurts.
I can't argue that.
Played better than Jalen Hurts last year. So on my list, I'd have Hurts right outside the top 10 too. I don't think he's 20, but I don't think it's crazy to say Jalen Hurts right now is not a top 10 quarterback. 215-592-9494. Is it fair that Jalen Hurts is ranked outside the top 10 in quarterbacks? People are going to be upset about this today as this moves around and people start talking about it. I don't think last year he earned top 10. It's almost like we're nitpicking the other guys so we could find a spot for him. When I watched Jalen Hurts last year, I didn't see a top 10 quarterback for the whole season. At times, he had moments, right? Early in the season, the comeback win against Buffalo, he had his moments, but it was so poor at the end.
See, I don't see it that way. I see it, and I understand why you probably feel the way that you feel. But I'm looking at this list, and I guarantee you that if I had a time machine and I can go back in time and I went to, say, week 6 of the season, most of these guys that voted on this list probably had Jalen Hurts as their MVP. And
well, he was a favorite right there, yep.
For him to fall from grace like that, to me, I think that has more to do with him being alleged malcontent against the coach than anything else. Because you don't fall that far when you talk about what he was able to accomplish in such a short period of time at the quarterback position. And you know what, to be honest, not being nitpicky, but I guess I am, I think Justin Herbert, for a lot of people, when I see Justin Herbert on this list, I see a guy that a lot of people pick to be great that are trying to make him great. You know what I mean? Because when you look at, just take those two people alone, Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. Jalen has accomplished more than Justin in a shorter period of time. And I understand that Justin Herbert might have all the intangibles that you want in a quarterback and all that other stuff, the size, the stature and all that other
strength,
stuff.
yeah.
All of that. But he hasn't accomplished a whole lot in his career in the NFL thus far. And the last time I checked, it's all about what you've been able to accomplish in the NFL. And Brock Purdy, I think a lot of people feel probably the way that Kyle does. He's a system guy, but still, you cannot deny what he's been able to do in such a short period of time.
Yeah, well, no question. I'm with you on both of those guys. The way I feel similar. I see Herbert's talent. I think we all see his arm strength. I was at the game a few years ago when the Chargers played here against the Eagles. It was a great game. Chargers won on a field goal late. So Herbert's really good. But I'm with you. I would rank Herbert below Hurts on my list. I would do that because of everything you just said. Purdy had a heck of a year. Purdy outplayed Jalen Hurts last year. I don't have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with a lot of these guys. It's almost like when we make these lists or we react to these lists, we're looking for reasons why Jalen should be there. I don't think he played well enough to be a top 10 guy on my list. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the NFL scouts, executives agree. 215-592-9494. There also seems to be, and this is what you're going to hear here is from Get Up This Morning, ESPN. This is the guy, Jeremy Fowler is the reporter who puts together this list, right? He goes out and he asks all the coaches, he asks all the executives, hey, could you put a list together for me? I want to put this together, see what all the voting looks like. So here's Fowler this morning on ESPN, and when you listen to this, you feel like people in the league think there's a ceiling on Jalen Hurts. Like, yeah, he's good, but he'll never be one of those truly great ones. Here's Fowler, ESPN this morning.
Injuries and bad offense, Greeny, was pretty simple. Executives pointed out to me that Jalen Hurts did not look right last year. The Eagles could downplay whatever knee issues he was dealing with in season. Wasn't even really on the injury report in some cases, but they felt like he just wasn't moving the same. Couldn't do that dual threat ability that he's so good at with the offense. And then Nick Sirianni's attack with Philly last year was just not very good. I mean, they were in a situation where they kind of rolled the ball out, tried to do what they did the year before. Teams adjusted, Eagles didn't evolve, so Hurts was in a position where he just wasn't highlighted. I will point out that a lot of voters say, even though he's very good, he's never really going to be a top 5 quarterback in the eyes of a lot of evaluators. They say he's sort of in that 7 to 13 range, depending on how he does that year.
Well, that last thing, Hugh. The first part was on the knee injury. We all saw it, right? He didn't move the same last year.
Yeah.
Something was going on physically, and then also the play calling was not great last season. But that last part struck me.
7 to 13.
That 7 to 13. That the evaluators in the league just feel like.
And that's fine.
I agree with you.
And that can win you a Super Bowl.
It can. But when you hear that, it sounds to me like they think good, not great. 7 to 13 sounds to me like good, not great.
And you know what? I know that this is a year-to-year thing. It really, really is. But I feel like Jalen progressed a lot last year, even though he had some regression along with that. I think early in the season he was progressing along fine. And for whatever reason, it fell apart. I think part of that is because of the communication between him and the coach. I think Jalen's being punished, to be honest, for all of the speculation, the reckless speculation of him and Coach Sirianni's relationship, to be totally honest. Because to me, you don't go from being a guy that's highly touted in 2 seasons to going to the Super Bowl and being considered top 5 quarterback to all of a sudden going to the honorable mention category in just 1 season. That's a lot. That's a hell of a fall.
Well,
especially when you talk about Justin Hurts. Like seriously, this is where I think this list is fugazi. I'm not picking on him. But for that guy to be as rated as high as he is over the last 3 seasons, show me his last 3 seasons in the NFL.
To your point on that, and I think this is a good point you're bringing up. If you look at 3 guys who had tougher years last year, Burrow, right? Burrow got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers, out for basically, he played 4 snaps for the Jets. And then Herbert, right? They all had tougher years last year. They went backwards. They didn't fall very far on the list.
No.
Burrow, I think, was 2, and then he stayed at 2. He didn't move. Rodgers was 4 and went down to whatever he is, 6 or 7. And same thing with Herbert, right? Like they just fell a couple spots. Jalen Hurts was 6 on this list last year.
Yeah.
Now he's fallen to 13.
Out of See, that makes no sense to me. That dog, to me, does not hunt.
So I agree it's bizarre. I will say a couple things happened. Stroud emerged, Love emerged,
true.
Purdy emerged, right? 3 guys who a year ago you couldn't have, I mean, first of all, Stroud was in college a year ago, but like 3 guys that we wouldn't have said a breath about as top 10 guys. They played like it last year in different spurts. So that's part of it. Also, Jalen went backwards. I mean, that's what part of it.
Even with that being said, you still got 3 guys that are in there that ain't done a whole lot. You know what I mean? Now, if you put those up, I know C.J. Stroud is the outlier because he was in college and he plays well. I don't have a problem.
He only
with
has
that.
1 year of sample.
Yeah, but still, to fall that far from grace, man, I feel like this has more to do with more likely the relationship between him and Coach Sirianni than it actually does his play.